fascinating. I love this concept of unretiring is an interesting one, all sorts of change, opportunity. And so you come and you decide to listen to some fluffy stuff about social media. And that's an odd one when you think about it. Who would have thought, just a few years ago, we would take time out of our days to come and talk about social media, which for most of us is just a wall of noise out there that's very distracting and is really of no benefit to us whatsoever. So I want to try and put some flesh on the bones and see where we go with this. Apologies if I'm standing in the way. I'll try and move around. Really want to try and cover off 4 things if I can. The big 4 issues that I think we really got to get right. We've got to get our websites right. They are failing us for the most part at the moment. We've got to talk about this concept of a value ladder, which is really, really important for attracting new clients and adding value to existing clients. Blogging and podcasting, which are really something we've got to start thinking to get our heads around, and social media generally. So let's put a bit of context in this. For most of us in this industry, in the wider financial services industry, we've got a bit of a problem. We know social media is there, we're told it's a good idea, but these are all the excuses that I hear quite a lot, yeah? I even had one financial advisor say to me, we don't use social media, we're not interested because our clients are business owners in their 40s, therefore they haven't got the time to look at the internet. I mean, where do we get these ideas from, and my clients are in their 80s or their 70s, and therefore they're not interested in the internet. Let me show you a lady who is in her 80s. Okay, and this lady is Beryl. She is my mother-in-law, a lovely lady. Up until 2 days before this photo was taken, she would have nothing to do with the internet. So you would be right if you said, my client Beryl is not interested in the internet, therefore we don't need to be part of this. So my wife and I thought, well, what can we get her for Christmas? This was taken on Boxing Day a couple of years back. What can we get her for Christmas? We thought, why don't we just chuck her in the deep end, yeah? And we'll get her a laptop or a tablet or something like that, and we got her a tablet, okay? So Christmas Day, she's got something she has never seen before in her life. Now, let me show you about 11 a.m. on Boxing Day.
Okay, Google. Pictures of the Queen on Christmas Day.
Pictures of the Queen on Christmas Day.
Oh, lovely.
And she still does that pretty well every day and has done for the last 2 or 3 years. And what I found absolutely fascinating, she wasn't just, not even typing on it. She knows she can talk to it and get what she wants. She now has 3 tablets and a laptop, and she uses her interactive TV as well. So this idea that, it's enriched her life. She's embraced it and really, really gone for it, okay? So, but we'll be honest and say not all of your clients are using social media on, but people are loving it, okay? So let's go back in time and just sort of put some context as to why I'm standing here. 1978, I just finished my A-levels. I wasn't going to university, wasn't going to college. My dad was very, very concerned about this, and he actually said to me one day, so what are you going to do? How are you going to earn a living? And at school, I didn't really know what I was interested in. Average kind of grade right the piece for most things. Do you want me to go over here? Grades right across the piece, and wasn't really doing. However, I was enjoying photography. I loved going to rock concerts. I used to go to the Hammersmith Odeon down the road up there, and this photo here was taken of Judas Priest. I used to get a press pass. I took this in about 1980, something like this. And ZZ Top, and these bands are all still going along. I'm saying I've been in the industry for 42 years. These guys have too. And I had a great old time. Now, to put that into context, my dad was this was just going straight over his head. And you have to bear in mind, he was a dental surgeon. His brother was a senior consultant surgeon. His father was the worldwide CEO of the Royal Exchange. 1 or 2 of you remember that. My mother was a magistrate. And my mother's father was an engineer of considerable global repute. He invented the dimmer switch, he invented hydraulics, he invented the thing that flattens tarmac on the road, and bless my grandfather, he invented the dishwasher. Okay, so engineering was an angle that my mum had in mind, and my grandfather also had got some interesting friends. One of his best mates in his early days was John Logie Baird, inventor of the TV. My grandfather was in the room the day that John Logie Baird did that first broadcast. So the idea I was going to do rock concert photography, it just wasn't going to happen. Their next door neighbour was this gentleman. Anyone know who this is? Barnes Wallis, as in the bouncing bomb. And they used to go next door. My mum remembers when she was a child, a day when my grandfather and Barnes Wallis were standing at the end of their garden, and they had a bit of a pond, and she saw Barnes Wallis bend down, pick up a stone, and skim it across the pond. So this was really the career for me. And my dad said to me, no, you're not going to do rock concert photography, you're going to get a proper job. My claim to fame came a couple of weeks after that, where my favourite band, Blackfoot, from the United States came over to the UK, and they were recording their live album at the Hammersmith Odeon. And this is the front cover of the live album. And the photographer caught me. You can see the arrow point there, right up there at the front. I thought, I've peaked now, okay? This is it for me, and I decided to get a proper job. So I go down to the Dorking Job Centre, had a 7-minute interview with a very nice lady who concluded at the end of the interview that I was cut out for pension scheme administration. And I promptly was given a job at National Employers Life, now Unum, and this was their head office down there in Dorking. After 3 months, they concluded that pension scheme administration was not for me, and they said perhaps sales might be a little better for you. And I went out on the road as a broker consultant, or as a life inspector, as we were known then. And for the next 20 years, across that company and Zurich Life, I met 20 financial advisors every day, every week for the next 20 years. So I've probably met, over the years, including 15 years being self-employed, more financial advisors than anybody else in the industry. And that's given me some amazing insights into what you care about and what you're interested in. And the single biggest question that has come up over the years is that one. What's the best way to generate the right sort of clients? Anyone can generate clients. It's the right sort of clients that we want to get. This one comes up time and time again. And we all know that referrals are pretty well high up there, but for most financial advisors, you're not getting enough of the referrals you really want. So just quickly, just to go through this, the single most effective form of lead generation for financial advisors, or rather the most popular, is referrals. Now, we're okay at it, but we could do a lot better. If any of you want a resource on how to literally charge up and get many, many more of the exact right referrals you want, just give me a business card later and I'll point you to where you can get this. We don't need to go through it now. The single most effective form of lead generation for financial advisors is, can we guess? What we're doing right now, seminars. The most successful financial advisors around the world have used seminars or client events in some way, shape or form. So they're not just to attract clients, but they're also to add value to existing clients as well. And when you add value to existing clients as well, guess what they do? They refer you. And the circle goes round. One of the biggest opportunities for financial advisors is their own website, both to attract new clients, but also to add value to existing clients. But most financial advisors' websites are failing desperately, and I'll explain a bit more of that as we go. So just quickly, those are the three areas. One of the common questions I get from financial advisors is what's the best way to be doing this? I hear this about social media, and I get financial advisors saying to me, Jones & Co down the road, they're using YouTube, perhaps we should give that a go. And Smith & Co, they're using Twitter, maybe we should give that a go. And so-and-so's using Facebook or LinkedIn, maybe we should give that a go. Guess what? Give that a go is not a strategy that will ever work. I don't mind a bit of experimentation, but give that a go. And one of the fundamental problems is that we don't have a plan for how we use social media to add value and to attract clients. So in many ways, it's nothing to do with the technology at all, but it's everything to do with how we use it, the actual techniques that are important. And again, just to go back, I mean, I was using social media right when it started. The first B2B social networking site was not LinkedIn. That appeared in about 2003. The first one was a site called Ecademy that was around in 1998. And the concept we all talked about was social networking. We don't call it social networking now, we call it social media, but the two are very, very different. Social media is all about noise, yeah? Just go on to Twitter right now, go on to LinkedIn right now, and you'll just see noise. Social networking is human beings interacting and engaging with each other. And when we get that subtlety right, then this social media stuff starts coming to life and it starts to work. But you do need a plan. Now, I'm a collector of old school marketing. And back in 2002, this was a priceless example of absolutely amazing marketing. Bic, this was a famous campaign that Bic was running. Big billboards at the side of the road, and a giant razor, and I love the way they cut the grass with it going up there. Now, think about that. Great for Bic if anyone actually saw it. You know, you actually had to drive past that or walk past it to actually see it. Or you'd see it if you read the right marketing magazines. Today, you know, they might encourage us to do this, you know. Take a photo of it, take a selfie, post it on our social media. So I love that kind of stuff. Now, a few years ago, my wife and I were selling our house, and we did a tour of all the estate agents, and what amazed me was they were all the same. They all said exactly, they all promised great service, they all committed to looking after us, they all said that. And how could their fees were all much the same as well? How could we choose? So we did the tour and we went down and we thought, well, don't know which one. But the following day, we got an envelope in the post from one of them. One of them, okay? And all there was in the envelope was a piece of red carpet. I thought, well, maybe when we move house, maybe there's a bit of a space, well, we could use that, yeah? Red carpet. But what was on the other side of it was a message that said, all our clients get the same treatment. I'll give you that little idea for free. Get yourself down Carpet Warehouse or whatever it is this weekend, buy up 100 yards of carpet, cut it into squares, send one of these to your new clients as they come through the door. And I love that kind of old school stuff. One of the beauties of really good social media is when you combine old school with high tech, and it's very easy to do. But this is what marketers will have you believe we should be doing. They'll be telling you we should be putting out content, we should have a YouTube channel, we should have a podcast, we should have a Facebook group, we should be doing all of this stuff. What utter nonsense that is. All we're doing is just contributing to the noise. If your strategy is chuck enough content out there in the hope that some will stick, fine. It just doesn't work. We are professionals here. Far better that we take the expertise that we have got and weave it into the value that we add. Yeah, I don't mind a few blogs, something like that, a YouTube channel, podcasting, but to try and attempt all this nonsense, it just will never work. Back in the day, how we got clients there was a really interesting kind of routine. Maybe we were at a dinner party 20 years ago, yeah? And inevitably the topic comes around to personal finance, and you might put your hand up and say, well, I need to get my pension ducks in a row. Does anybody know? And your host might say, oh, check out my IFA, Jones & Co. They're great. And we'd write Jones & Co. and their phone number down on the napkin. The next day, we'd call them up. Doesn't happen like that anymore. We go to the dinner party, we're looking for a financial advisor, and someone says, check out my IFA, jonesandco.com. And we'd write that down on the napkin. What do we do the next day? We don't phone them up. We go to Google first. And here's a really interesting, we want to see what they're like. We'll see what their websites. And what we'll find is all financial advisors' websites say the same thing. I mean, I can do a party piece at conferences where I can write the About Us page live for any financial advisor in the room without having met them. And they'll be really pleased with it. But we get distracted when we're on Google. We find other financial advisors. We find blogs that maybe somebody's written. We might find a robo tool. And then we might think, well, maybe there's enough information out there that I could do this myself. So just having a web presence isn't good enough anymore. And I say we all look alike. Maybe that we look similar. Maybe that's a bit unfair. We have a real problem. Michael Kitces out in the States talks about a crisis of differentiation in the financial planning world. Who's this? Which is the real Audrey Hepburn? It's interesting. It's the one on the left. The one on the right is a professional lookalike who is paid to go along to conferences and organisations to stay on their stand, and people come along and say, oh, you look like Audrey Hepburn. Can we have a selfie? The problem with lookalikes is initially it's intriguing and a bit fun, but it doesn't take long before it gets a bit creepy. Doesn't quite work, does it? We simply cannot afford to look like the next financial advisor. Now, you may say, well, we are different from Jones & Co. down the road, and I'm sure you are. I've met enough financial advisors to know you are all different. You all have different clients. You do different things. But on your website, online, you all look absolutely identical. It just doesn't work. So maybe we go down the internet route. So we need to be mindful of that. Now, it's all this guy's fault. Steve Jobs, iPhone first appeared in 2007. Absolute game changer when it comes to how we use the internet and technology. And to put this into context, let's have a look and see what we were doing online in 2007. And what we can see is the activity that we did most of all on the internet was search for stuff. Search for porn mostly, but I've taken that line off, okay? But then we were doing another thing. slowly but surely, we were starting to visit social networking sites. And in April 2010, the number of visits to social networking sites overtook the number of visits to search engines. And in hindsight, of course that was going to happen. Because when we're looking for information about stuff, wouldn't we rather actually ask another human being rather than rely on some website giving us the right information? TripAdvisor was a game changer for the hospitality industry. Yeah? We've all been influenced positively or negatively, haven't we, by a TripAdvisor impact. So we've got all this technology out there, but we would still rather ask other people for their opinions. If you go to Facebook right now, you'll see people using it as a search engine. Can anyone recommend a local vet? Can anyone recommend a taxi service to take me to the airport? Yeah, we're using it, and we prefer the responses of real people, even real people who we don't know. So what happened next? Here we've got visits to social networking sites overtaking visits to search engines. Next, visits to messaging apps overtook visits to social networking sites. And again, it was inevitable that was going to happen. And we've come full circle. Any of you in this room remember MSN Messenger? That was the first kind of peer-to-peer messaging tool. And what this is kind of suggesting is that given access to tools that help us to communicate with each other, we'll use them. So all the rest is just gloss and fluff. Okay, when it comes to websites, we've got a problem. Hands up, anyone's got a website? Okay, good, so that's most of us. The trouble is, it's not working. You don't know the numbers. If I was to ask you any of this room, how many visitors did you have last month? How many of them converted into clients? You won't be able to tell me, and that's fine. We're focusing on the wrong thing. We're just focusing on putting on a brochure out there in the hope that someone's going to be interested. What we're not focusing on is making our websites convert. And here's an interesting thing. I said lead generation was the number one source of inquiries that financial advisors make online to me. It's the number one question. Most financial advisors have got more than enough leads visiting their website every month, and you don't even know it. I did some research on 100 financial advisors' websites last year, and I found the average number of visitors that you get each month is 197. That's the average number. But you didn't know that. There are some other stats that are just critical that you need to know when it comes to your website. How many visits, how many pages, which pages, time spent. If you'd like to copy the slides, just again, give me a business card. This kind of simple stuff. Google Analytics gives you loads of stuff if you really want to geek out on that. This is the stuff you need to know. But there's another number that's almost more important. It's called the bounce rate. This is the percentage of people who visit your website and bounce straight off without looking at another page. The average bounce rate for financial advisors is 54%. So you're getting best part of 200 visitors a month, but more than half of them are leaving without looking at a second page. Now let's assume that 25% of the people who stay are recruiters, for sake of argument. You're still left with a decent number that were not converting. And the single business reason why this isn't happening, there's way too much stuff on your website. For most financial advisors, I can count about 34 clickable links on your homepage alone. And all that does is just create confusion. And a confused mind will always say no. For most people, when they visit a financial advisor's website, wherever they came from, it's like hitting a brick wall. It's like you standing down in the local shopping mall, dishing out leaflets about your business in the hope that someone's actually going to take some interest. It just doesn't work. If you're going to do one thing today, it's just strip out all the links on your homepage. Really get some focus. Write down who is your perfect dream client. If you niche into, I don't know, financial planning for surgeons, then write your website only for surgeons. And even then you want to niche it tighter than that. So ideally, your website should do one of two things. Either add value to existing clients, it's a key part of your client experience, or it should be there to convert new. It shouldn't be there to try and do both. So what I'm saying is, in an ideal world, you need two websites. Okay? So the cost is starting to ramp up. And we get all this stuff. When I say they all look the same, again, amongst that research, there were some very interesting common themes coming through on financial advisors' website. Yeah, lots of lighthouses, lots of compasses, lots of elderly, good-looking people with grandchildren sitting on their shoulders, grandparents sitting in deck chairs, flying kites. I mean, it just goes on and on. And the websites were about as informative as this. Yeah, we can figure it out, this sound there. We don't need a sign, yeah? And this is what many financial advisors' websites are like. They look nice, but they don't tell us anything at all. These people who are visiting your website now, they want a bit more. Many of them have already quite clued up on personal finance issues. And if all they see is lighthouses and compasses and people flying kites, it doesn't really do it for them, yeah? So a couple of quick tips. Make it look different. Strip out the content. So my site on the right there, one clickable link. There it is. With an opportunity for someone to tell me where they can. I don't care how they found me. What I'm trying to do is to get them to that micro commitment of just touching my website and then hit the button. No 34 links there, one link and one link only. Now let me talk about a couple of these things that are on here. And the first thing is the concept of a value ladder. And what do I mean by a value ladder? What we've got is a situation where people arrive on your website, they're met with all this stuff, okay, and we're expecting a complete stranger to go, yes, I'll pay for your full financial planning service. That's a hell of a jump in this day and age when they can get a lot of information for themselves out there on the internet. So what do I mean by a value? I'm going to give you an extreme example of a value ladder because we'll kind of get it, and then we'll come closer to home. Tony Robbins, yeah, we've all heard of Tony Robbins, personal development guru to the stars, yeah? Now, love him or hate him, he's one of those kind of guys, but if you've never heard of him before, first time you'll come across him is a video on YouTube, yeah? And it's his usual stuff, stop your negative thinking, all that good stuff, yeah? And if you watch one video and you like it, you'll watch another, then another, then another, okay? Then next time you're back on Facebook, you'll say, oh, Tony's doing a Facebook Live, and it's free, I'll sign up for that. Tony's getting into my life now, I like his stuff, yeah? Then you might go and visit his website, and you find that he's muscling in on your game, giving away a free book. Free book. All you got to do is pay for the postage. And then, a few weeks later, you spot, oh, Tony's in town. Perhaps I'll go along. I love his videos, I love his free stuff, I love his value, I'll go along. And you have a great old time, take lots of selfies, tell all your friends. Then, a few weeks later, Tony's in town again. But this one's a bit bigger and a bit more expensive. But I like Tony's stuff. He's offering a lot of value. Why not? Let's give this a go. Then a few months later, my goodness, he's in town again. Now, this is a long one. Oh, I get to do some firewalking as well. Now, perhaps I'll invest in the VIP seats. Now we're starting to engage with Tony at a much, much deeper level. And again, we have a great old time. We tell all our friends. We do Tony's marketing for him. And guess what? A few months later, out comes the credit card again. And we have a great old time. It's much more personal. We're with people just like ourselves. This is quality. Now we're spending money, 5 figures. 5-figure money we're spending here. It can't get any better. Or can it? Until this email turns up. You can go and spend a weekend with Tony at his house in Fiji. Now we're talking money with 6 figures in it. That's a value ladder. What about a value ladder for a dentist? A lot of dentists these days, they want to get you in through the door. They're not doing national health stuff anymore. They want you to pay. So one of their lead magnets, or the bait they put out there, free teeth cleaning, yeah? And even teeth whitening. I mean, there was a time when only people like Tony Robbins could afford teeth whitening. Now they're giving it away for free sometimes. Get you in the building, experience the service, get a video testimonial, get you to tell your friends. That's a value ladder. They want you to go up to the top to do the stuff that my dad used to do, all the cosmetic dentistry. Yeah, that's the stuff they want you to do. But they get you in to experience the service. What about a chiropractor? Again, free stuff to start with. But slowly but surely they take you up the value ladder so you get to experience it. And just going back quickly on the dentist, of course the bottom two there, the teeth cleaning and the whitening, don't even need to be done by the dentist. How about a gym? Well, we know about the value ladder for a gym. The value ladder for a gym starts on the 1st of January for most, yeah? And they do all this kind of stuff as well. Now, this is my value ladder typically for financial advisors. Join my Facebook group. Get my free ebook. Maybe then go up a notch and buy an actual book I've written. Then maybe we get you on a webinar. We're getting your credit card out here, yeah? Then you might want to come along to a live workshop, and so it goes on. In an ideal world, I want financial advisors to come along to my weekend retreat, which is very expensive. But if you arrive on my website, there's no way you're going to get your credit card out. You're going to need to experience some of the other stuff I do before we get there. So what about a financial advisor's value ladder? You could add any of these kind of things in, any of them. take a little bit of work, but these are the sort of things that people buy into. If you target heart surgeons in London in your niche market, then your website, all it should have on it is download our free guide on 20 ways for heart surgeons to increase their income in retirement. And they will exchange their email. That's a fair exchange of value, yeah? Giving you their email address in exchange for a bit of value. I know financial advisors now who have stopped doing financial advice, and all they do is weekend retreats, life planning, high-end, deep financial planning, bit of yoga while we're there, nice meal, nice outing, that kind of stuff as well. Catherine Morgan, rising star in the financial planning world. She uses Facebook really well, online challenges. Martin Bamford, he's written 3 books. They were about 10, 15 years ago, and he's still getting inquiries of people. That's part of his value ladder. Blogging and podcasts, I mean, it's easy just to give you the numbers. I mean, Pete Matthew down in Cornwall, he's had a podcast, he's got 300 episodes now, 3 million downloads. This puts him in the big league of podcasts around the world, the big league. And we're talking about financial planning, for goodness sake. What I'm saying is that if we can put high value content, not scattergun content, out there in a way that people will consume or even buy, they love it. They want your expertise. Financial planning does not have to be done between just 2 consenting adults in their home or over Skype or in your office. It's about also taking the expertise that you have got and repackaging it and giving it away and selling it in other formats, yeah? And I just want to say quickly before we start wrapping up about Facebook. I did some research last week amongst financial advisors, a quick straw poll on Facebook. And I said, is Facebook a good source of leads and inquiries for your advice business? Basically, the answer is no, because we don't know about it. Facebook, LinkedIn, particularly LinkedIn, at the end of the day, are just pieces of software. And like any other software that you use in your business, your wrap platform, CRM system, whatever it is, unless you've been trained how to use it, you'll never see the benefits. And yet, here's the thing, and I get financial advisors saying to me, our clients aren't on Facebook. Yes, they are. Even in that segment there, age 55 to 64, there's over 4.5 million active users. Beryl is one of them. Number 4 I want to say is LinkedIn as we start to wrap up. As I said, LinkedIn is a powerhouse of opportunity for financial advisors. I get financial advisors tell me, but our clients on there, it's a B2B site. Okay, so there's 20 million company pages on LinkedIn, but there's 650 million individuals on LinkedIn. Every single one of them, I would imagine, needs some help with their personal finances in some way, shape or form. Every single one of them. But what we're doing on LinkedIn is using it just like Twitter, just like we're just chucking stuff on there in the hope that some of it will stick. It doesn't work that way. I go back to where I started, this concept of social networking. I've got some connection scripts which I pretty well get 100% success rate with them. Would anyone like some connection requests and some scripts that they could find on LinkedIn? Would that find useful? Okay, either get in touch with me online or give me your business card and I'll point to where you can get these scripts. I've had financial advisors tell me the first time they started networking with people, they start getting high value clients. And this is really what it's about. So social media, I could talk for hours, and I do, on this kind of stuff. If we start getting our head around the idea that it's that good, one thing my dad did say to me was, people buy people. And we all know that, don't we? They always have done, and they always will do. And they do online as well. And if we remember that, and we start treating people courteously, we engage with them in a professional way, rather than just chuck stuff on there, then the magic starts to happen. Then we get to a point where you start having conversations with people. And conversations really count. So I hope you found that useful. Thank you for coming along. Really appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.